there's one thing that I can tell my daughter is that I have not died. He says, I am with her every single day. I am by her side. And your dad keeps telling me to keep an eye out for the birds. He sends you birds from the other side. He says, and if you bring up those birds, she's going to know it's real. He says, Matt, he says, there's so much that I have to talk to my daughter about because there's unfinished business between me and between her. And right away, when I'm connecting with your dad, he tells me the two of you were very close. And your father keeps telling me when I'm connecting, I know about the way she was there for me. I know about the way that she was there for me. And he showed me that the moment that he got sick, that you dropped everything to be there and by his side. And your father tells me that you used to sleep by him and be on the side of him. And I even saw visions of you sleeping on the floor. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Your father tells me that for a while, there was this point where you felt like you didn't have to check up on him. You didn't feel like you had to be right there for him. And then the moment he got sick, he showed me you doing all these things, that you wouldn't leave him alone. He shows me about the way that you'd be sleeping on the floor. He says, and Matt, he says, you need to let her know that I want to thank her for those moments, because you know that that's what your dad thinks back to on the other side. He keeps saying to me, I can't believe my daughter did this for me. I can't believe my daughter did this for me. He says, Matt, do you know that she wouldn't even go out to the store or wouldn't even leave? He says she would have other people go because she was so afraid that I was going to die or something was going to happen to me. Yeah. And your dad also wants to tell you that he wants to thank you for the way that you fought for him here in this world to try to keep him alive. He tells me that you're so upset with doctors and nurses and people that were taking care of him because they missed major things that were going on with your dad. Yeah. And your father says to me, Matt, I need my daughter to know that she can release that pain. She can release that hurt. He says, and I want her to know one thing. He says, I wasn't always truthful about what was going on in my body. That's what he tells me. And I'm going to be very honest with you. When I'm connecting with your father, he tells me that he was sick for longer than you had known about and longer than he had talked about. Because when I'm connecting with him, he keeps telling me it started in his lungs. It started in his lungs when I'm connecting with him. And here's what I see. Because souls will start to be very specific and start to show me things that they experienced. And your dad keeps showing me that he developed this cough that he had here in the physical world. And he's also showing me that he used to always have like candies. I keep seeing him sucking on like lemon candies. Yeah. And I keep hearing him going, and I feel all this pain going in through here. And I also see something else. Your father shows me him sneaking off to the bathroom where I see him literally coughing up blood when I'm connecting with him.
When he was eating and be choking, yeah.
Shut the hell up. So know that this, listen, you can understand, me as a medium, I don't Google this shit or look this up. I don't know what they're telling me. I take your loved one's word for it, and your father saying to me, I used to hide, I used to go in the bathroom, I used to cough this up, and I saw him coughing up, and I see that they're being pink in the sink. That shows me that he was coughing up blood, and there was all of this agitation in through here. So your dad tells me that you need to give yourself a break because, do you know, he says, Matt, my daughter keeps going over my passing again and again and again and again, and you keep thinking, I should have caught it in time, I should have done something, I should have pushed him more to go to the hospital or go get checked out. Yeah. Your dad tells me that you did. He says, and Matt, that's not what I want her to focus her energy on. He says, what I want you to know is that you weren't just like a daughter to me. He says, you took care of me like you were my mom, he tells me. Your dad shows me you making food for him so that your dad could actually go and eat. He says to me, Matt, he goes, I was a picky bastard here in this world, he says to me. He goes, I didn't like all different types of food. He says, and my daughter used to go and make my special recipes. And not only that, listen, I love it when your loved ones get super specific. Your father keeps showing me the plastic containers. Like you used to go and like stock up on food for him. Like make meals and put it aside for him. Your father said to me, you went above and beyond for him. And more importantly, he tells me that for the past 2 years of his life, you devoted everything to your dad. And then he died, and he tells me that you felt so lost. Because you're like, what am I gonna do now? I'm so used to taking care of his medications. I'm so used to cooking for him. I'm so used to doing all of these things. Your father said to me, Matt, he says, I was hoping that when I passed, my daughter would pick her life up, he says, and start enjoying. But he still shows me there's still times when you feel so sad because you feel like you lost your best friend. Your dad says to me, it's okay to live life. Your dad says to me that he wants to thank you for waiting with his body and for the way that you stayed with him even after his soul had left. Your Father tells me this. He says, Matt, if there's one thing that I can tell my daughter is that I have not died. He says, I am with her every single day. I am by her side. And your dad keeps telling me to keep an eye out for the birds. He sends you birds from the other side. He says, and if you bring up those birds, she's going to know it's real. And this is crazy. Do you also find feathers?
All the time.
Because your father shows me you picking feathers up off the ground when I'm connecting. And he says to me, Matt, she saves them for me. And I'm like, I've never heard of someone saving feathers. Your father goes, you don't have to keep them. I just let you know I'm okay in heaven, he says. So please know that that's his way of letting you know in spirit that he is there. It's his way of letting you know that he is on the other side. And more importantly, his soul is always and forever with you.